Nintendo is one of the most well-known video game companies in the world, and with good reason. They create fun, engaging games for gamers of all ages. With so much success, it's hard to believe that Nintendo has ever experienced any failures. Before we get into these Nintendo misses, hit that subscribe button for more great content from the gamer. Hotel Mario. For most of the Mario Bros. Franchise, Mario has been both a plumber and Princess Peach's #1 hero when it comes to rescuing her from Bowser's clutches. Fans know that Mario also has several other career titles under his plumber's belt, as evidenced in the array of Mario-themed video games from Doctor to Tennis Star. When it comes to plumbing, no one really knows if Mario works for a large company or if he's a small business owner. Considering that he probably has to take a lot of time off in order to rescue Princess Peach, it would make sense that he owns his own plumbing business. On top of that, players can add hotel owner to his ever-growing list of careers. In Hotel Mario, players had to help Mario navigate through a series of puzzles in order to rescue Princess Toadstool. Unfortunately, players were less than thrilled with the thin premise, terrible controls, and full-motion cutscenes. In fact, Hotel Mario is not only said to be one of the worst Mario games ever made, but also one of the worst video games. While Nintendo did try to do something different by partnering with Philips to make the game, they failed miserably. SNES CD-ROM. In partnering with Philips, Nintendo had their eye on more than cornering the virtual hotel puzzle game market. 1988 brought about the CD-ROM, which of course Nintendo was very interested in utilizing for video game distribution. Originally, Nintendo had planned to release an SNES CD-ROM, and in doing so needed to create a partnership with another company that had the capability to develop the proper technology. Originally, Nintendo partnered with Sony with the intent of creating a console that utilized CD-ROMs. Unfortunately for Nintendo, Sony was a bit more business savvy than they expected, and the contract between the two companies gave Sony the right to produce their own console with the same CD-ROM technology under their company name. Yep, that's correct. Nintendo essentially assisted in the creation of Sony's PlayStation. When Sony announced their console at the 1991 Consumer Electronics Show, Nintendo responded by publicly dumping Sony in favor of Philips in order to create a CD-ROM console, which, of course, never came to fruition. While Sony was understandably humiliated by Nintendo cutting ties with them, their shame did not last long, and in doing so, Nintendo only unleashed a powerful nemesis. Hey guys, we're very excited to announce the Premium Network. The Premium gets you early access to videos from The Richest, Screen Rant, The Taco, The Sportster, The Things, and many other great channels. Literally thousands of videos in one place with ad-free browsing. Check out the Premium by clicking this link. Sign up for free and start binge-watching videos from your favorite channels. Mario is missing. When any tried-and-true gamer thinks of Nintendo, they inevitably equate the company with family-friendly games, and rightly so. Nintendo has a knack for creating games that are entertaining for all ages, along with consoles that are easy enough to use for gamers of any age. With that in mind, it makes sense for Nintendo to pursue the younger generations in the form of educational games. In the early 90s, Nintendo released the Mario Discovery series for PC, Mac, SNES, and NES. One such title in the series was Mario is Missing, a game in which Mario was not the lead character for once. Instead, Mario was, well, missing. In fact, it was up to the players to find Mario, wherever he may have been, with the help of other characters from the Mushroom Kingdom. What could children possibly learn while finding Mario? Well, it turns out that Mario is Missing was teaching children geography, so at best it was really just a ripoff of Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. Although the concept was popular at the time, children were less than impressed with the title upon playing it. Most players felt cheated by the fact that it was not a real Mario game. Virtual Boy. Virtual reality may seem like a relatively new concept, but companies have been attempting to bring this type of technology to gaming for quite some time with little success. From boring or glitchy games to uncomfortable tech, virtual reality has been on the forefront of developers' minds since before the 1970s. During the success of the SNES and prior to the release of the Nintendo 64, Nintendo intended to keep gamers' attention on their company and keep them from jumping ship to the newly accessible Sony PlayStation for obvious reasons. Their answer to virtual reality was the Virtual Boy. Similar to current headsets, Nintendo was definitely ahead of the times when it came to virtual reality and gaming. Unfortunately, the Virtual Boy was released in June of 1995 and discontinued soon after. With such an innovative concept available to consumers, what went wrong? Well, first, the headset was nothing more than a glorified Viewmaster with an odd kickstand. It also came with a controller not unlike the old PlayStation controllers. With only 22 games released for the Virtual Boy, there wasn't much content available for gamers either, let alone good content. The games themselves often took the appearance of bad night vision optics, and many gamers complained of headaches and dizziness. Mario Time Travel. If children weren't fooled the first time around, they certainly weren't going to be tricked into learning with Mario the second time. Another addition to the Mario Discovery series was Mario's Time Machine, DeLorean not included. This incarnation of Mario the Educator had Mario taking control of Bowser's Timulator in order to return the historical artifacts that Bowser stole to their rightful place in history. While the game did focus on some key historical moments, it also oddly included regular Mario gameplay, such as collecting mushrooms. Released on MS-DOS, SNES, and the NES, the game received mixed reviews. It appears as though Nintendo did take some criticism to heart with their previous educational games and turned this history lesson into a side-scrolling adventure in the same fashion as previous Mario Bros. Titles. However, most gamers felt that Nintendo's foray into educational games was a frantic cash grab and nothing more. Given that Nintendo has had numerous Mario spin-offs fail miserably, some critics felt as though Nintendo should simply stick to what it does best, creating entertaining games for all ages. With such lukewarm reception, Nintendo probably wished that they could use Bowser's Timulator to go back and talk themselves out of this horrible idea. Nintendo 64 DD. Released worldwide in 1997, the Nintendo 64 was well received by critics and gamers alike due to the advanced graphics and gameplay at the time. The only issue that fans of the console had was the original lack of games for the system. However, Nintendo's choice to use cartridges instead of the more popular CD-ROMs available at the time did perplex gamers. At the time, Nintendo cited that the use of cartridges was to keep the price point of the Nintendo 64 down. However, PlayStation and several other game companies had affordable CD-ROM-based systems out at the same time. The answer to the CD-ROM conundrum was said to be found in Nintendo's 64DD. Slated as an augmentation to the Nintendo 64, the 64DD was essentially a disk drive that players could use to write data to Nintendo-specific disks. Boasting a storage space of 64 megabytes, gamers were not impressed considering that PlayStation disks were capable of holding 700 megabytes at the time. To add to the headache, Nintendo pushed back the release date of the 64DD several times, causing it to be released nearly 4 years after the initial release of the Nintendo 64. Nintendo even went as far as announcing a 64DD exclusive Zelda game, which eventually became the non-exclusive Ocarina of Time. Mario's Game Gallery. As fans of Nintendo know, Mario has branched out from simply saving Princess Peach. From racing go-karts to teaching children about geography and history, Nintendo is always looking for new ways to utilize their signature character in different ways. In 1995, Nintendo released Mario's Game Gallery for Mac and PC. Gamers could play Go Fish, Dominoes, Backgammon, Checkers, and Yacht, Nintendo's version of Yahtzee. Some game critics stated that Game Gallery was an easy, fun set of games for the whole family to enjoy. In truth, it was a decent game, but with all the games available for desktop computers at the time, was a similar game featuring Mario what players really wanted or needed? Several critics pointed out that another Mario game that didn't follow the series' storyline felt like another product placement cash grab for Nintendo. Considering that Mario's Game Gallery was created by third-party publishers with nearly zero insight from Nintendo, this may have been the case. Nevertheless, Mario's Game Gallery is an important piece of Nintendo's history, given that it introduced Charles Martinet as the voice of Mario for the first time. However, most players heard Martinet speak as Mario for the first time in Super Mario 64, which was released the following year. Robotic Friend. When it comes to accessories, Nintendo has attempted nearly everything imaginable in order to push their console to the top. Some accessories definitely have their place in the video game industry, but other accessories fall short of expectations, which can leave gamers perplexed at why a company would release such horrible products. One such accessory from Nintendo was the release of ROB, or the Robotic Operating Buddy, in 1985 alongside the NES. Commercials for ROB boasted a wide array of games that the robot could assist players with, when, in reality, ROB was only ever officially compatible with two titles: Gyromite and Stack Up. Seeing as how most gamers have never even heard of those two titles, the games were less than stellar when it came to gameplay and entertainment value. Due to the 1983 game crash, retailers were already fed up with gaming companies, and Nintendo intended to use ROB to differentiate themselves from other gaming companies. While ROB failed as a standalone accessory for the NES, GameSpy called ROB one of the smartest moves in gaming history. Perhaps ROB is partially to thank for the current video game industry. Power Glove. Whether it's attempting to rake in as much cash as possible or a genuine interest in pushing the boundaries of what a video game is expected to be, Nintendo is always one of the first companies to innovate the way gamers interact with their consoles and games. In 1989, Nintendo hyped up one of the most innovative video game accessories ever. However, Nintendo didn't really have any say on the design and release of the product, even though it was officially licensed by Nintendo. The Power Glove was set to be a game changer when it came to console gameplay. Based on patented Data Glove technology, the Power Glove suffered from being downgraded in order to make it more affordable for the public. While the initial Data Glove functioned as planned, the Power Glove was often clunky and not as refined as the prototype Data Glove. Only 2 games were released for use with the Power Glove, which was discontinued in 1990, but that did not stop the Power Glove from becoming a pop culture icon. From the Nintendo-produced movie The Wizard to an appearance in the 6th Nightmare on Elm Street film, Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare, everyone loves the Power Glove. It's so bad. Box Office BOB-OMB. Apparently, Nintendo did not learn from the mistakes they made with The Wizard and wanted to try their hand at another video game-based feature-length film. This time, Nintendo had Disney backing them in their pursuit of taking over the box office, so in reality, what could possibly go wrong with the Mario Brothers movie aside from casting John Leguizamo? Shot on a budget of $48 million with a cast that included Dennis Hopper and Bob Hoskins, Super Mario Bros. The movie was released in 1993, which was admittedly a decent year for Nintendo with the iconic releases of games like Star Fox and Kirby's Adventure. Nintendo at the time was at the forefront of gamers' minds, and so one would think gaining commercial success off their most famous character should have been a cinch. Unfortunately, it was not. Neither critics nor regular moviegoers wanted anything to do with the Super Mario Bros. Movie. In fact, the movie only brought in $20.9 million at the box office, less than half of what it cost to produce the film in the first place. Critics called the film nothing more than a novelty, and it was called one of the worst movies in 1993, which says a lot considering that 1993 was rife with subpar sequels, including Weekend at Bernie's 2. Well, that concludes our list. Did we miss any Nintendo fails? Let us know in the comments, and as always, don't forget to like and subscribe for more great content at The Gamer. Don't forget to check out our playlist too. Thanks for watching!